Mona Fandey. That is a name that truly inflicts fear in the everyday Malaysian. A name that sends down chills throughout all of Malaysia. But who is Mona Fandey? From her roots in the pop industry all the way to her murder trial case, today we will be talking about the infamous Bomo killer of Malaysia. Now, before we dive into the life of Miss Mona, it's important to know her origins. Before she became a terrifying witch slash murderer that haunts every Malaysian in their sleep, Noor Mazna Ismail was actually an ambitious singer, if you could believe that. Ever since she was young, she was obsessed with singing, dancing, and even water ballet. She really wanted to live that pop star life, whether it was for the fame or riches, no one really knows. Well, to her luck, later on in life, she meets a man called Muhammad Noor Afandi Abdul Rahman, who claimed to be her biggest fan and promised to fund her quest on becoming Malaysia's biggest pop star if she married him. And she was like, done deal, give me that ring. And the two ended up getting married. Shortly after, to boost her popularity, Mazna adopted the stage name Mona Fandey, reportedly inspired by her husband's nickname. Together, the pair worked really hard to launch Mona's pop career. They produced and launched a studio album titled Diana and even managed to book several TV appearances for Mona. Not bad, right? However, after several years of trying, the duo realized that Mona's pop career will never really take off. So, Mona decided to abandon her dreams for something more lucrative: witchcraft. Now, witchcraft in Malaysia isn't really secretive per se. Also known as Bomo, it involves shamanism and herbal medicine practices. Bomo has a core belief that everything in this universe, including human bodies, are made up of fire, earth, wind, and water, and that the only reason people get sick is because there's an imbalance of one of these. Yeah, by sick, I even mean cancer. Now, Bomo practitioners would say that they would fix these imbalances and heal you. The validity of this is certainly questionable to say the least. So, why did Mona take an interest to this? Well, the answer is actually quite simple: money. Mona's Bomo career can only be described as a gold mine. She began offering her services to elite, high paying clients. She started seeing lots of actors, businessmen, and in particular, lots of government officials. Said government officials went to her in order to guarantee their position in power and receive, well, more power. And Miss Mona really took advantage of that. She didn't really say, come to me when you want to see the world in a different light, or come to me for a spiritual awakening. No, Miss Mona said, come to me if you want more power and money. And of course, people in power and money went to her so, well, they could get more power and money. And because of all of this, she became super successful. She had several mansions, had a fleet of luxury cars. She basically became a multi-millionaire all from consulting these people. And all of this eventually leads her to one person in particular, Mazlan Idris. Now, Mazlan Idris was a successful Pahang assemblyman and a rising politician. He came from a well-off family and stayed abroad in the United States when he was younger, which at the time was a huge deal, and he really wanted to get a position of power in Malaysia. He reportedly eyed the chief minister position, so he wanted the Bomo couple to help him get it. Mona promised to help Mazlan by giving him a talisman consisting of a tongkat and a songkok, which was supposedly owned by the former Indonesian president Sukarno. And Mona said these two trinkets would literally make you invincible. Now, they weren't cheap though, because Mona charged both at a whopping price of 1 million ringgit. So, Mazlan, being the businessman that he is, he said that, well, here's the thing. I want to pay you 1 million for it, but I don't feel comfortable paying you 1 million. I just want to see if these work or not. So he paid her a grand total of 500,000 ringgit in cash upfront and 10 land titles as guarantee for the remaining payment. Now, a couple of days after receiving the payment, Mona arranged a meeting with Maslan. She wanted him to come over for a black magic ritual, which would really bond him to the objects and make him even stronger, completely free of charge. So, they arranged this meeting in Mona's home in Penang, and Maslan, Mona, her husband Afandi, and Mona's assistant at the time, Juraimi Hassan, went there. Maslan was told to lie on the floor, face up, and Mona told him to completely shut his eyes closed. Mona then proceeded to place flowers all over his body and started saying, "Wait for it, feel it. Do you feel that, Maslan?" And said, "Wait for the money to fall from the sky." And she looked over at her assistant Juraimi, gave a nod, and Juraimi goes to the back and pulls out an axe. As Maslan was lying there, waiting for the money to fall from the sky with his eyes closed, just enjoying the serenity of this black magic ritual, out of nowhere, without any warning, Juraimi grabs the axe and chops Maslan's head off. They then proceeded to chop his body into 18 different parts. They even skinned some parts of his body. They then proceeded to put the pieces into a bag, drive all the way to Mona's property where they had a storage shed, dig a hole inside said storage shed, and buried most of Maslan's body. Now, the reason why I say most is because till this day, some of his pieces were never found, and rumor has it that the trio cannibalized and ate parts of his body. Now, the crazy part of this is that there really isn't an incentive towards this murder. Because once Maslan is murdered, Mona wouldn't be able to get the rest of the money of which she was owed. So, even if Maslan fails as a politician, it's really doubtful that he would come out and call Mona as a scammer. Because Bomo rituals are very secretive and taboo. This almost seems like the opposite of a motive. It almost seems like it is trouble that he is dead. That's why a lot of people have come to the conclusion that Mona is either someone who can just practice this type of rituals, or she believes in it so strongly that she believed that this would give her more power, tying into the rumors of her eating Maslan so it can channel black magic into her. After this gruesome murder, Mona just casually moves on with her life and starts seeing other high profile clients. During the period of time before police find Maslan's body, Mona proceeded to buy a Mercedes Benz, went on a shopping spree, and even got herself a facelift. Which, it looks great. Anyways, during this entire period, the police were all well aware that Maslan was missing, but there was no real concrete evidence tying him to anything. But on the 2nd of July, a police report was made on Maslan's disappearance, after he was supposedly seen withdrawing 300,000 ringgit from a bank and missed several UMNO functions. There were reportedly no leads on the case, and at the time, it looked like it was heading towards a dead end. But as fate would have it, maybe even another classic case of karma, a twist of events would eventually lead to Mona's arrest. The police would eventually pull over and question Juraini Hassan, Mona's assistant, for an unrelated drug offense. And unlike other countries, drugs such as marijuana are heavy offenses here in Malaysia. Juraini got really nervous. He was high on drugs and was really paranoid. He was probably thinking to himself, so I know why they pulled me over. It's not because I'm high on drugs. They can't know I'm high on drug. It's because I helped kill Mazlan. So he confessed to the entire killing and his involvement in Mazlan's murder, and the police were just bamboozled. He then wanted a plea deal and said he'll lead the officers to the body if they put in a good word to the judge for him. And the police hesitantly agreed. So Jiraini leads them to the shed. The body parts were reportedly buried beneath the shed and sealed with a concrete cap. They dug up the body and arrested Juraini, Mona, and Afandi. Now, this becomes a massive trial in Malaysia, almost international due to how odd this case was. This trial would go down in Malaysian history, and it was one of the last few trials that the Malaysian government did by jury before the government abolished trial by jury completely because of the amount of international spotlight this case had gotten. The trial was really complex. It lasted for 63 days, had 73 different witnesses who were interviewed, and had a whole jury of people. Now, Mona was facing the death penalty. You would think Mona would be terrified because of that, or even stressed, but she wasn't. Every day, because it was such a high public case, all of these photographers, all of this press, all of these people would be outside of the courthouse, and Mona would just walk in with the most vibrant colored clothing, even designer clothes. This is really strange because most celebrities facing sentencing would dress appropriately and up to par to show the judge and press that you are a responsible human being. It's a PR move essentially. But Mona didn't follow that. Her bright clothes didn't symbolize any remorse nor seriousness about the situation. To make it worse, Mona would constantly pose for the cameras and just give this big smile, and would sometimes turn to people and say, "Look, I have so many fans." In 1995, Mona, Noor Afandi, and Juraimi appeared before a 7-person jury, led by Judge Datuk Mokhtar Sidin at the Timor High Court. They were charged with murder under Section 302 of the Malaysian Penal Code, which comes with a mandatory death sentence. It reportedly took the jury less than 70 minutes to reach a unanimous verdict of guilty. After hearing the verdict, Mona reportedly stood up and said, "I'm happy with the decision. I want to thank all Malaysians. I love all the people. I love Afandi." She was photographed smiling as she was led away to prison. 4 years later, in 1999, the trio filed appeals to the federal court, but they were promptly rejected. As a last-ditch attempt to overturn the death sentence, they sought to obtain a pardon from the Pardons Board of Pahang. Of course, the board refused. The date of the hangings was set for Friday, the 2nd of November 2001, at the Kajang prison. The day before the execution took place, both Mona and Nora Fandey were allowed to meet their family members for the last time. They were also given one final meal of KFC. Then, at 5:59 a.m. on Friday, Mona, Nora Fandey, and Jeremy were hanged in the gallows, officially putting an end to the most gripping murder trial in the country's history. Perhaps the creepiest part about the whole ordeal were the last three words Mona calmly uttered right before she was hanged. Aku takkan mati, which directly translates to I will never die. Now, the reason why people believe Mona to be so scary, in particular her last words, is because everything leading up to this points to the fact that either she believed in what she was doing so strongly, or maybe what she was doing was real. Maybe Mona was right. Maybe she will never truly die, as her legacy continues to haunt Malaysians till this day, and people have even made movies about her. It's really strange because her final words really stuck with people. And that really wouldn't have happened if her trial wasn't the way it was. Mona was so nonchalant about it, had no real negative emotions towards it, and didn't even act like she was on trial and that her life was at risk. Even the way she murdered Maslan would go against her motive of money. There's really no human motive we can think of other than she truly believes in this black magic of hers. In 2006, a huge production company decided to make a movie about the whole situation. It was called Dukun, which directly translates to shaman. It was highly anticipated because this case was so infamous and something people really gravitated towards in Malaysia. However, the government was opposed to the release of this movie and tried to block it from showing in cinemas. Even movie theaters were against it, and all of a sudden, in 2018, someone leaked the whole movie on Facebook. So, because of that, they actually released the movie in theaters because it was already leaked, so why not make more money from it? The movie was highly controversial due to how it romanticized Mona and black magic and made black magic seem so real. So much so that in the movie, after Mona was executed, her soul was seen being transferred to another human in that room. And that person becomes a shaman, and the cycle continues. This was, of course, really insensitive towards the families of her victims, and people weren't pleased to say the least. Now, till this day, two of Mona's abandoned mansions, one in Shah Alam and the other in Penang, still stand. They are considered hotspots for adventurers and ghost hunters, as a lot of creepy stuff have been reported to have happened there by those who have trespassed. It's safe to say that Mona Fendey's legacy, however horrifying it was, will probably never die.